I don't even know the words.
In gangster's paradise. We've been spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise.
Money in the power, power in the money, minute after minute, hour after hour.
Okay.
Good morning.
Rock here.
Nancy here.
Coolio in the house.
Is that what it is?
Pretty much.
That's what I remember. That song reminds me of you and your brother.
We do karaoke.
Doing the karaoke style.
He does
my
the
God.
rap. He butchers the rap, and then I do the do that part.
He would butcher the rap. Oh my God. That's
Oh,
so funny.
he's hilarious.
How's everybody
Come on,
doing this
Lindy
morning?
Fresh, what
Oh,
today?
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
This
so
is
much.
just so much fun. Oh,
Monday morning.
I love, like,
Monday.
rewinding. Yeah. Cheers, everybody. Cheers to you. Cheers to you.
Chris, it's in soup,
I have to add more protein in my diet, so here we are. Protein.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's slop. You know? I just brushed my teeth, so it's not very
It's
fair.
actually not that bad.
No, it's
I
not.
gotta get used to it. It's
It's
just, it's thicker. Thicker.
C'est un épais.
I went to go see my naturopath last week, and she was saying, you know, like you're craving a lot of sugar. Perhaps you need to just up your protein and see how
Yeah.
that goes.
Yeah.
She also suggested some adrenal support, and in a way, and so just because like she really explained it to me in a way that I really get it, because all of the drama and traumas that I've experienced growing up, it kind of like puts it in like a vault or like in a memory.
You store it in your...
You store it in your
yeah.
body, where your
In your
your
immune
adrenal
system.
glands is constantly active
Yep.
to trying to deal with that or cope with that,
Yeah.
like that pain body, if you will. Anyway,
Yeah.
so it was cool. I was like, so I'm on that, and I do find a difference because sometimes I just feel like a little bit of a like mid-afternoon crash, or like in the evening I could easily
Yeah.
go to bed like 8:30.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, well, it's because we wake up early. But anyway, so
Can I say something?
yeah,
Is it
of
my
course.
turn?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but here's a good way to find out if your adrenal glands are tired. Have some sugar. If your body doesn't react, it's because your adrenal glands are tired.
Yeah.
That's why children, when they have sugar, they have the sugar rush. Their adrenal glands are still active and non-tired.
Well, I would have to correct you there.
It's not right?
No, not exactly, because
The hell do
the
I know?
sugar in itself is like an added stress and a stimulant, which your adrenal glands doesn't need right now. Your adrenal glands, what it needs is to really like learn how to relax and learn how to properly just like
Sure.
reduce that cortisol and adrenaline levels in all shapes and sizes. So
I said that on purpose just to get you more
yeah,
information.
yeah. No, but it's good. Nice try. Nice try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important to do that self-care, of course.
Oh,
You've
gosh.
been going through that.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, totally.
Let me just say something real quick.
Sure.
Our bodies individually, your bodies, la bolle, vous autres. It's like an experiment,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh gosh.
Never feel like you have to stick to a certain diet or a certain lifestyle or eating certain foods. Specifically, if you're like, every time I eat that, I get something. That's a good indicator of you to explore that. If what you're eating isn't working for you, you want to lose weight, you want to be more fit, you want to be more mindful, less brain fog, a lot of it has to do with diet. And you can always tweak that. You can
Yeah.
always say, well,
For what works for you.
what I would start doing is if I was wanting to change my diet, my lifestyle, first thing I would do is I would start writing everything that I would eat
Yeah.
as is right in this moment. I wouldn't
Yeah.
change anything. For the first 2 weeks, I would just write down, okay, breakfast I had ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. And then maybe an hour later, I would say, how did I feel? I felt energized. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Next meal, okay, I had this, I had that, and then I felt lethargic, or I felt foggy, wasn't focused. Okay, that's a good sign. Well, it's not a good sign, but it's a good to keep track. Because you can't improve what you don't measure, or
Yeah.
manage what you don't measure.
Yeah. No.
And that's why I write down what I like my workouts and where I need to improve and tweak.
Yeah.
Because I
Good
realized
strategy.
I had a shoulder pain, behind the muscles were tight and I was not able to do anything. And it was a combination of getting chiropractor adjustments and also the upright row, which I really think is what was really doing it. I was doing it a bit wrong.
Yeah.
So I eliminated that from the workout, and then I switched it to something else. But I wouldn't have known had I not measured it and read it, like written it down. Because I looked at it and said, well, what could be tweaking that part?
Absolutely.
And I realized, oh, it's this because I'm not doing it properly.
Yeah.
So I switched it, and ever since then,
It's good to go.
plus de problème.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think we
Well,
often
not
look,
enough to complain about.
yeah, we often look to the external and see, like, you know, for solutions, for results, and sometimes we just need to tune in and check in with ourselves. Like for you, and everybody like is like the bio individuality. Everybody reacts to certain foods, certain lifestyle in a different way. Like for you, you need to have more animal protein in your diet to have more sustenance, you know, to go to the washroom more like
less.
Yeah,
go
or
to
less.
the washroom less.
Yeah, exactly.
When I eat fiber, it's like I'm a poop machine.
Right, your metabolism is just
it doesn't come
heightened.
out how it's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. And for me,
I won't give you the details.
No.
But I'll just say one word: slush.
Oh gosh, would you stop? Oh my gosh.
It's my show, USC.
I know. But for me, it's not like
Hey, we're French, so we talk about two things: sex or poop. That's the way it is.
I know.
They know.
I know. You know. Anyway, so like for me, animal protein, I have to like you to eat that. I lost my train of thought there.
Because you're thinking about poop?
Yeah, exactly. No, but for me, I find like I have to eat that once in a while just because I easily get constipated and I have to like have a diet rich in fiber and because animal protein is very hard to digest and it ferments in our gut and then that's when it creates inflammation.
Too much.
And it goes too much. It goes slightly on the acidic side. So in a way, it has its advantages because it creates obviously all the essentials amino acid, which you can also get in a plant-based diet, but you also
it's a bit more complicated.
Yeah, you also have to elevate or increase your level of legumes and grains and quinoa and all that stuff in order to get the same amount. Anyway, so I'm just
don't get me wrong. I eat mostly plant-based. Still,
but I think you're onto something because you're listening to yourself. The bottom line is to listen to what works for you and what doesn't.
So we used to be vegan. We went vegan for 4 years, and it was a great experience. And my biggest takeaway from that was the processed foods. That's what was killing us. The processed foods.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily the meat, although we did have a lot of meat, but it was a lot of processed meat.
Yeah.
So now we've come back and we've found balance.
Yeah. And we learned how to eat more quality.
Yeah, and I find that the solutions are never they're never found, and take that with a grain of salt, but never found in the extremes. Whether you go full meat, you're having 6 pounds of meat a day, or you go the other way around, you have 0 meat.
I think it's balanced.
I think you find balance in there somewhere. And some people, it's like a spectrum. Some people need a bit more, some people need a bit less, like Hirsch needs a bit less, I need a bit more.
Yeah.
And and that's fun to play with, that kind of like to adjust and to be flexible.
Yeah.
But that's what I learned a lot about veganism is the processed foods, because we eliminated all that, and that's where I lost all that water retention and all that weight for no reason. It was really a good experience.
Yeah, for sure. And then when you're vegan, it's like you're kind of like getting these nudges of what works, what doesn't, but then you always feel like, oh well, you're learning so much about that world that's got to be the right way. That's got to be the right way.
Exactly.
And sometimes for some people it's not, especially if you're O negative or O positive. Then we have the enzymes to really digest those foods properly. But anyway,
don't get stuck in the vacuum is the bottom line in anything you do.
Listen to your body and what it needs, and especially like for diet, for lifestyle, for whatever reason, and that's part of self-acceptance. It's part of self-acceptance.
100%.
Yeah, like so when I started like my whole journey, my great motivator was not to become like my real mother. Like and she had a lot of struggles. Like she was like struggling with alcohol addiction and bipolar disorders. Like
OCD.
Yeah, OCD. She had a lot of mental illness. And my common motivator was not to become like that. So, because I was kind of going towards that, like I was partying a lot. Yeah, I was partying a lot, and to a point where I started having panic attacks. And then, not knowing any better back then, I decided to just go on antidepressants, but I was still reluctant on taking those because to me it was like one step closer to becoming like her. But I had no choice because it was starting to affect my quality of life. It was affecting my performance as a massage therapist. I had just started out my new career. And so then I had no choice. I went on it thinking that would just take care of the anxiety. And again, not knowing any better, still continued my lifestyle of drinking and partying, and just because it felt like I felt great when I was partying. It was fun. I was in my 20s. It was a lot of fun. But I had that little innate knowing that, okay, that you're kind of following your mother's footsteps. I mean,
one party away from becoming your mother.
Well, it's just like you're taking the medication, which she's taking that type of medication. She's drinking, you're drinking. So, I mean, who knows if that would have ended up my reality, but I didn't stick around to find out. So luckily that was my great motivator of changing things around. But then what I'm finding out lately is that gift, like the greatest gift, is sometimes it can be like your curse at the same time if you're not aware. So right now that is, yes, that continues to be my driving force, but at the same time it's like every time that I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form, it
could be the smallest thing.
It could be the smallest thing. It could be like if I'm not eating like super clean, if my house is a bit of a mess, if just all these things that will trigger me thinking like, oh, if I'm not careful, then I can easily become like that. And I think last week really triggered it for me because I actually called my mom, and I haven't spoken to her in 10 years. And interestingly enough, and rightfully enough, the next day I felt really anxious and uncertain within myself. And I think part of self-acceptance is to really learn how I am and to accept all of me, all of my anxiety, all of the pain, all of the journey that I'm continuing to unfold within me. Like,
yeah, I mean, it can certainly trigger when you dive back into your past. And it's not about whether or not you've fully healed. It's about understanding that you've come a long way, and you are not that person you were in your 20s. And what you said was you used that as your biggest motivator. And now I think what the focus should be, in my opinion, should be to not worry about that aspect, because you've already slayed that demon. And to bring that back into the present as a constant worry, at this point, I don't think it will help you. I think it will just hinder you, because you're not even close. So here's how it hinders you, and you may or may not agree with this, but if she'll have a beer, and all of a sudden it's like gut rot, it's anxious, it's anxiety, and it's not the beer doing that.
It's just 2.5.
It's not the beer doing that. It's right here, right? We have this idea, and I'm like that too, like when I get angry or when I drink, I think sometimes, oh, I'm going to become like the old man, But then I started realizing, or my mom, but I started realizing, there's nothing wrong with becoming like your parents if you're becoming the good parts of them. My parents have good parts. My father's funny, charming. My mother is very caring. There's some good parts to that. So that's what I would do. That's what I'm focusing on when I say to myself, tu bien comme ton père là. Say, I'm becoming like my dad. So
tell me about like the thing that you said in the shower this morning, how like what motivates you is that like you're writing your book and
so for me, I'm still using a little bit of that fuel to motivate myself to becoming better. It's like I don't want to be a loser. I don't want my past to project or predict my future. And if you look at the statistics of people who have had who've had experiences similar to mine or even yours, for example, there's a high percentage of failure rate there. There's a lot of drug addicted people because the trauma was so hard to deal with that they went to drugs, alcohol, food, whatever it was. So the success rate it diminishes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be part of that statistic. I want to do something
Yeah.
else. And I can do something else, just like you can do something else, just
That's
like
true.
you guys can do something else.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week about we are not our parents. We inherit the lifestyle, right? Well,
Or the
there's
beliefs.
or the belief system.
Right.
You know, my parents and probably a lot of your parents would say stuff like, I wonder what the rich people are, what rich people are doing. And they would often say that when we would be sitting outside having a good time, fire or music playing. I wonder what the rich people are doing. Like it was a underlying thing of saying, well, rich people, it's not, money's not important. Money won't buy you happiness. And there is some truth to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because a lot of us are raised in that way, a lot of us live very, like, I wouldn't say unfulfilled lives, but a lot of us live poorly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that mindset that we have, that we were born and raised with, that we need to shake.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. Yes, money doesn't buy you happiness per se, but it certainly does buy you freedom of choice. And with freedom of choice comes happiness in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If I don't want to buy the almost broken car because like that's the only thing I can afford, and I want to buy a muscle car because I can afford it, it's just an example,
Yeah.
then that's what I'm going to buy. And will it make me feel happiness? Not necessarily because I have the car, but it's because of the freedom of choice. That's the happiness I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or the freedom of not being able to, or not having the need to work a 9 to 5 that you don't like. You know?
Yeah.
Freedom of choice.
Yeah.
So these are all things that we're born and raised with, these ideas, these beliefs. Your parents have done the same thing to you. Maybe not in the exact same words, but they've done that to you. They've instilled their own beliefs on you, and we do that too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As parents.
Absolutely.
You've got to be mindful of what we instill into our daughter, because we don't want her to have a limited perspective of life, a limited belief on what she can achieve or attain.
Yeah, it's true. And
Right?
and then part of like my belief and maybe my motivator is, again, because I don't want so much to become like my birth mother, I try to be like such a mindful, conscious parent where like I want to be very mindful in how I parent her and being very considerate of her emotions, but at the same time, I'm not creating any resilience within her where when there's a challenge that presents itself, she doesn't know how to handle it because she hasn't built that muscle. So I think it's very good for me. I'm really very grateful that I am aware of all these things, of my thoughts, my beliefs, and my actions, because that gives me the power that I can do something about it. And I like that point when you said like you know, you are also like you're inheriting think of it as like you're inheriting the beautiful side of your parents. Like for me, I find like, and I'm really focusing on that too, because for so many years I've just focused on the dark side of my parents, you know, but there's really great traits, good traits in good qualities in both my parents. Like my mom, like, and especially now, she's in a good place because she quit drinking. I think it was 7 years now, and has positive influence in her life, and she's in a good place as long as she takes her meds. But she's in a good place, and she has like this. She's great to talk with, and she's you know, she's very, I don't know, she's knowledgeable, she's wise, and she has, you know, good traits. And I think when you can focus on and like that, you also inherit the good. And then sometimes the bad and the ugly, and just trying to tweak the bad and the ugly, you're left with the good. But I gotta start thinking about like self-acceptance when it comes to that.
Yeah,
I struggle with that.
You're always going to be a 2 millimeter shift away from massive change in your life.
Yeah.
And the key is to be aware that you can do that.
Awareness is key.
You can change.
So this week is really about part of the self-acceptance. Today we'll maybe focus on more being self-aware, because that's part of the self-love, which this week's health and wellness challenge is really about really practicing self-love in a way of being self-aware, self-accepted, and just maybe being more mindful of that. And that's really what I'm working on this week.
And a good way to manage that is to just keep a journal with you. It's very easy. Or even if you're going to use your phone, it doesn't matter. In the notes, notice when you're hard on yourself. Write it down. I'm hard on myself. Why am I hard on myself? Is it really because of what's happening? or is it because of something else?
Yeah.
Is this triggering something else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Often it is. Often it's not. The problems we face, we're not mad at the problems that we face or upset or struggling with the problems that we face.
Mm-hmm.
It's often something that we've buried as children.
Yeah, those are triggers.
And then whatever you're facing now is just a trigger that will bring that up again.
Yeah, and then last night when I was thinking...
We all have that.
I was going through...
Every one of us.
That emotional roller coaster again last night because I actually spoke to my mom just to wish her happy birthday, happy Mother's Day. And I was thinking like last night what really would work with me in my own experience and what the tools that I can use, and maybe you guys can use that too, is really like emotional freedom technique, like tapping, like really feel the emotion, really feel that emotion that arises. For me yesterday was like anxiety, like worrying about like, you know, if like just me, something, it's a lot about like, okay, does it just come all at once where it's like you just start to experience bipolar disorder or like those traits, like those negative traits?
It's a transition. That's a slow.
Yeah,
it's a
well,
slope
exactly.
That starts when you're little.
But sometimes when like you're knee deep in that emotional roller coaster, you're worrying or you're thinking about like the worst case scenario. Feel those things. It's important to feel that if you want to heal that. But what really helps with that is emotional freedom technique, which I'm going to show you guys tomorrow. It's really about like tapping on that, bringing it to the surface, tapping on it because it really helps to calm down the meridians. Yeah, exactly. And then just acknowledge that even though I'm feeling this way, I still fully love and accept myself right here, right now, and all those
important.
things.
It's a good technique. It's kind of like meditation, but it's like
meditation.
Like an active.
Yeah. Because I find, and I know that we're going long here, but I find that like personal growth and self-development is not for the think positive aspect. It's really about feeling the dramas and traumas that are triggering you and really bringing it to the surface. Yeah. And so you can heal that. That's part of the journey to self-healing.
And it's often from childhood trauma. Yeah. It attaches yourself to your central nervous system. Yeah. And it's stored there as energy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of those things that it may sound a little woo-woo, la. I get it, la. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, think about it. Yeah. Think about the trauma you went through. It doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It doesn't have to be abandonment issues. It could be you bumped into a bee's nest and you got stung 100 times and that traumatized you, you know, in a certain way. Yeah. It doesn't have to be like what we experience. We all have experienced some trauma to a certain extent. Yeah. And that's to be honored and not compared to any other trauma. So just keep that in mind.
The important thing is to really feel it, embrace it, bring it to the surface. Maybe do some tapping on it, which is a great technique to really heal that part of you. Yeah. So you can move forward.
And you're gonna look, or you're going to show them that.
Yeah, that's gonna be part of my health coaching session is to really show you guys how to do the EFT. Yeah.
Wrap it up. See, we got shit to do.
Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. It's been a long one today.
It's okay. It's fine. They're here.
Yeah.
Or they're not. Doesn't matter. As always,
we love you. We're thinking about you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys this afternoon at 3 for my EFT training.